Morning. It's Thursday, April 1st, and April is the month of the Masters. For those of you who don't recognize that, it's one of the 4 major golf tournaments played in this country and around the world, and is played in Augusta, Georgia. And I was an avid golfer for many, many years. And I had the privilege of going to the Masters at one point in time. And the Masters was unique. It was unusual. It's a beautiful golf course designed by Bobby Jones, one of the early greats of golf. Now, Augusta's not a major city. It's about 2 hours drive from Atlanta. But what was unique about the Masters is the way they took care of what I will call the customers, the golf fans, those who came out to see the tournament. At a time when you go to a baseball game or a football game or something, and a beer costs $10, and a hot dog might cost $5. Okay, that wasn't the case at Augusta, at the Masters. At the Masters, you could get a bag of potato chips, a soda, and a ham and cheese sandwich for a total of $11. And the sandwich was wrapped in green wax paper, because if it fell on the floor, it wouldn't stand out as being rubbish. So they did a lot of unique things at the Masters. Very pristine, everything painted green. The cottages for members to stay at overnight were beautiful. And of course the golf is sensational. And it generates, on average, about $125 million for the local economy every year. Now, why am I talking about the Masters with all the crap that's going on in the world? I'll tell you why. Because in my mind, many in the state of Georgia are against the voting laws that have just been passed. But they can't do anything about it. They don't have a majority of the votes, even though they did send 2 Democratic senators to Washington. I don't think that they have enough votes to overturn the voting laws that were just passed. So what should these people do? I believe there's a way to effectively get the attention of the local politicians and the state politicians. They have to talk to the people who run the Masters and convince them to not come to play in Augusta. Think about that. If the PGA agreed not to play in Augusta, poof, $125 million would disappear. And if they had the nerve to do that, if the PGA had the nerve to do that, it might incentivize some of the other sports teams, the professional sports teams. And most of those teams have players on them who belong to the discriminated classes. And those players, many of them support their communities with foundations and money and other things that are important to keeping people healthy and safe. So what would happen to Georgia if all of the sports teams abandon it? Think about that. If the Masters generates $125 million in 10 days or something, how much do the Braves generate playing 82 games in Atlanta? And the Falcons, who play 8 or 9 games, I guess, in the schedule there, and playoff games, etc. And then you've got the Hawks, who play 40-something games. What if all those professional teams with players whose groups have been discriminated against got together and decided they weren't going to play any more games in Atlanta? Do you think, or in Georgia, do you think that the government of that state would realize how bad their decision was with the changes to those voting laws? I'm not so sure they would think that. But money talks and shit walks, So if they were to boycott it, if the professional teams were to boycott the state of Georgia, it would have some impact. It would have to have some impact. Now, I am wondering what could ever convince the professional teams to do that. They're entrenched and they have fans. And the fans are important. But what would the fans do? Would they back the players or would they back the government? Sports is a great motivator. I don't know what the fans would do. I would think that the fans would be more likely to back the sports teams than the government, because I'm not so sure that every fan in Georgia agrees with what the government has done with respect to the voting laws. So I don't know that it would ever happen, but it's a great pipe dream. And maybe it'll never happen. But we have seen athletes step up to the plate and express their views. I remember in the Olympics, the raised fists of those 100-meter champions when they stood on the podium to get their medal. And I think it's about time that there are other groups that are willing to do that. I know it's a pipe dream, but it would be a wonderful thing to see. A wonderful thing to see the politicians and the fans struggling to make a decision instead of just going off half-cocked and creating a law that allows people to be arrested for giving somebody a bottle of water who's standing in line waiting to vote. How insane is that? No more insane than what I have just suggested. That's about it for today, so I'll say goodbye. See you in the morning. Bye.